What's a podcast? I like your show.
How did I get here? Welcome to the Shipe Sports Show.
Good evening, sports fans. Welcome to another episode of the Shipe Sports Talk Show. I am your host, Matthew Shipe, joined always by my co-host and the best producer out there, Paul.
How's it going, Matt?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
Joined always by my two amazing, wonderful co-hosts who I can't appreciate more of, Anthony and Chris. How you two doing?
How you doing tonight,
right?
guys?
What's going on, guys?
Gotta make Anthony feel good today.
Mm-hmm.
So on the agenda today is we're going to talk first. Got to get into college football. Big national championship game last night. Everyone said Alabama was going to win. Alabama this, Alabama that. I think I'm the guy last week who picked Clemson on the show, wasn't I, Chris?
Yeah. I think I switched, but you and I both switched. We were both Alabama.
I was not Alabama.
We were.
Nope. Mm-mm.
Yes, we were before the playoffs started. I'm
Matt
pretty
picked
sure.
Washington to win it all.
Oh, okay.
I had
okay.
Washington and Clemson.
But in the
No, you
what
had
was it?
Ohio State.
Did I?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, whatever. I was wrong either way. Then I switched.
What was it? The bowl thing that we did.
Yeah.
The bowl, bowl game winners. We both switched from Alabama to Clemson once it came down to the last game. But either way, yeah, I'm with this. I'm with you.
Yep. So we're going to cover that, get into that. Maybe talk some draft implications from that game. I think definitely a lot of scenarios are now going to come up because of that. Then we're going to talk NFL playoffs. What a, I guess, lackluster weekend we had here. No really close games. It was really a dud weekend. And then we're going to talk some, before we head out, then we're going to talk some Wizards, Capitals, who just ended an amazing 16-game winning streak of an opposing team. So we'll talk a little of that. And also, for me especially, the PGA Tour season is getting started. Before we talk college football, I think this is more for me and Chris and Paul. The FIFA World Organization has they officially approved 48-team World Cup starting in 2026. So it's 3 World Cups for now, but it has been approved that we will go from 46 to 48. First, real quick, Chris, what are your thoughts on that?
That's crazy. I mean, first of all, I think it's cool. I think it's awesome. I mean, why not have more teams represented? If it's a World Cup, you might as well have as much as the world in it as possible. It also means more soccer. You know, we're going to get to watch more soccer during the summer when we. I mean, remember we used to go to Hooters at like 9 o'clock in the morning to watch USA play.
I think it was just for that one game where I think it was where Donovan scored the winning goal to advance. It was about God, man, how long?
That was a while ago.
We were just out of high school, I think.
Yeah, it was a while ago. But I mean,
it wasn't even. I think it was like 8 or 7 in the morning.
Yeah, it was pretty early. But how can you not like more soccer, especially when it comes to the big one, the World Cup?
I think the best part about that day was we had guys from England behind us that were drinking at 8 in the morning. They had like 2 pitchers. Crazy guys.
Yeah, why not?
They're crazy over there in England. So let's get into right now the college football playoffs. So last night we crowned a new champion. Clemson knocked off Alabama. Alabama, they held their title all the way. Yep, new. Alabama held on to that title. They defended it all the way to the last second, as you can say.
Literally the last second.
So Clemson comes out on top 35-31, scoring 21 points in the fourth quarter. First time Alabama's had a double-digit lead going into the third quarter and lost. Nick Saban has never lost having a double-digit lead, but
97 and 90-something and 0.
Yeah,
I just remember seeing the 90-something and I was like, what in the world? Wow.
I think we all can agree real quick that this game alone shows that Watson is almost. This is where I think that the Heisman voting should be after the bowl game, because I think we all can agree if this was after the championship, Watson would have won the Heisman probably.
Yeah.
That performance that kid put on last night was truly remarkable. For him to take the hits that he was taking all through the game, and you never saw a look of fear in his eyes. In the fourth quarter, he was in that pocket. He was making NFL-type throws, staying in the pocket at the last second, throwing the ball, and still taking the hit. He wasn't running away. He was standing in that pocket, moving up and down. He wasn't really scrambling. They took him out of his element, I guess you can say. And he looked like an NFL-ready quarterback. I mean, what do you all think of his performance last night? And do you think it goes down as one of the greatest ever in college football history in terms of bowl games? Anthony, we'll start with you, because I know you stayed up watching the whole thing.
No, I think Deshaun Watson is a very capable quarterback. I've always thought that. But I think this further proved why, unfortunately for him, this means he will be the number one pick and he will be the Cleveland's Brown quarterback
Right.
as of next year. And I don't think that's what was in his best interest. But there's no doubt about in my mind, and coach of Clemson said it, perfectly. He said the Heisman, he didn't lose out on the Heisman. The Heisman lost out on him. And I think that's very true. I think Deshaun Watson was very deserving of it. He had a second opportunity to win, the championship, and he came back and he did just that. And, he said 5 years ago, put me in a national title game and I'll win it. And Watson finally fulfilled it. And it couldn't have happened to a better player in a class act that was there on Clemson. And that's how he ends his career. And he goes out with a championship against arguably, not just the best team in the country, but one of the best teams in all of sports. When you look over, this is a dynasty, Alabama. So he knocks off Nick Saban, like you said, 93-0, the reigning champions, and a rematch, and he does it. So hats off to him. And I think that, I hope for him that Cleveland figures something out, because it looks like he's ended up there. And I really hope that doesn't end his trip into the pros that quickly by just being put back there. But hey, don't they have RG3? What do they need Deshaun Watson for, right, Chris?
Yeah, man. Why would they draft him so early?
Chris, what did you think about his performance?
I was gonna say it's an outstanding performance. I mean, I think he's got 2 games against Alabama. He's got over 800 yards and I think a total of 8 touchdowns against one of the best defenses in the nation, or the best defense in the nation. I didn't get a chance to watch the first half. It was my dad's birthday, so we were eating dinner.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, so we were eating dinner yesterday, but I did catch about the second half of the third quarter and the fourth quarter, and man, I mean, that was the best part of the game to watch. I mean, the fourth quarter was nonstop action. I think there was 3 lead changes. Deshaun Watson, I don't even know how to explain, like, what we witnessed, because like you said, it was the end of a dynasty. The dynasty has been dethroned. This is the first time that they've lost in the national championship game. It was amazing to watch.
I was about to say they did lose 2 years ago, but in the playoffs, no.
Right. No, but in the championship game, I mean, this is. What would you compare this to the Patriots? Like because the Patriots had a dynasty, you know what I mean? So how would you compare this to the Patriots dynasty?
I mean, it's really hard because it's college, it's in the NFL. It's more competitive, I think, at the NFL level. But I think you got to throw Nick Saban up there as one of the best coaches ever to ever coach a team in college. Well, you shaking your head no?
In sports.
Sports.
Yeah.
So I mean, just hats off to what they did this year. They went undefeated. They proved a lot of people that they're still around. But I think this is more about Clemson. I mean, more what they showed. I mean, to go down the field. Honestly, that last drive, as I'm watching it, I'm like, what are they doing with clock management? What are they doing here? By the way, speaking of players, I think the Patriots, speaking of them, found who they're going to draft probably in the first or second round.
And
it's probably going to be Renfro from Clemson, their little slot receiver.
Yeah,
he looks like the kind of guy. Edelman or.
Before you give it all the credit, I think you have to talk about the minute Scarbaugh left that game for Alabama. I think that was the huge turning point, because if you look, nothing against the true freshman quarterback Hurts, but he just does not have the prototypical things that you need in a court. And you could see his throws. He had one. I remember there was a pass before Clemson finally took the lead back. He missed a guy wide open, way ahead of the field. He overthrew it by at least 5 yards. Him. You throw that might take all the wind out of the sails of Clemson. But, I'm not taking it away from Clemson. I just think that once he left the game, Alabama really couldn't find it. And Hurts he wasn't ready to carry Watson in that situation. If you go heads up Watson versus Hurts, I mean, you got to give Watson, tip the scale in his favor every time.
This is where everything starts hurting Alabama. They've always had a great running back, one great running back, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Eddie Lacy. They've always had one, a big, powerful running back. They've never really had the elite college pocket passer quarterback. And that can go back to where, if you're a passer, Alabama's going to offer you. Why do I want to go to a team that hands the ball off 80% of the time? I want to go somewhere where I can showcase. And this comes back to where if Alabama loses their number one running back and they can't get the running game going, they will hurt because they don't have that 5-star, quarterback, and they've never had one. I mean, we all can admit, when's the last time Alabama really had a quarterback who was, let's say up for a Heisman or something like that? They don't.
Yeah, I
It's
don't.
more they're known for their running backs.
They're a run
So,
first team, yeah. The
so that's
offensive
why
line, though,
I
as you
think
saw,
that
they were punishing them.
that
Clemson,
hurts them a
they
little
were
bit when
making
they
the
do
plays.
lose their top running back and they have to, rely on playing catch up sometimes. Throwing the ball is going to hurt them.
Yeah. Well, no, go ahead,
No,
Anthony.
go ahead, Chris. No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's the next thing I was gonna bring up is the third quarter, end of the not or end of the third quarter, but really late in the third quarter. If Scarborough doesn't have a fractured leg, does this change the outcome of the game? What do you guys think?
I think it does. I think that
Yeah,
was
I
a big
think.
thing. But,
Hmm.
yeah. So let's talk about Watson. Do you think now he is going number one?
Yeah, no
I
doubt.
mean, look at his body type. I mean, he's 6'3", 210. He's a big, he's a strong, and he showed last night he can play the pocket passer presence.
Mhm.
He's not only mobile, but he actually has the
They
presence,
said
like you said, in the
last
pocket to
night
throw the ball well.
they last night watching the game, he looked almost like when Vince Young beat
USC, yeah.
USC that year. That's what everyone said that reminded them of Vince Young
Yeah,
beating
even
USC.
even he said that that's what he thought about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now let's go to another guy on Clemson. Williams, wide receiver, rang his bell in the first quarter. First off, that I think we all can agree that was helmet to helmet. That
It
should have been a
was.
penalty.
I saw
Yeah.
the highlight of that later, and I was
Not
like,
only should
wow,
it have
yeah,
been
he was
helmet
out.
to helmet, I believe that was targeting, and that player probably should have been ejected from the game.
Well,
Because
I
it
mean,
almost
we'll
seems
see.
like they were, because Williams was a little shaken, but he goes out, and the catches he made on that final drive were tremendous. Do you
Oh
see
yeah,
this guy as number one
that
Yeah.
one
receiver
catch
going in the
was
draft?
really phenomenal, man.
Huh?
The one catch was really phenomenal. When he went up to get it and and then pinned it like in between his legs, so as he rolled over, it didn't hit the ground, was a really great
Is
catch.
he the number one receiver taken in the draft?
Yeah, they challenged that play, didn't
Yep.
they? I thought Alabama
Yeah,
challenged that.
they reviewed it.
Oh
The
yeah,
officials reviewed it.
officials
Yeah.
reviewed it. Okay.
Is he number one?
Number one
Receiver.
receiver on the draft board. Man, it's tough, man.
I'm sorry, as a Tennessee fan, sitting at number 5, and with how deep this secondary class is, I feel like Tennessee can pick him at 5. As a Tennessee fan,
I don't
we
think
need
you
a
guys.
receiver.
You don't necessarily need your receivers is not the hugest weak point. I think you
It's-
guys still need a lot of help on defense.
What I'm looking at for me is we don't have a big, strong, physical receiver. Matthews had a good year, but most of our guys, if you look at them,
I
they
agree.
play like the slots. But the thing is, what I'm saying about him going 5 to us is I'm saying this from a fanboy point of view, obviously, is the draft is so deep with secondaries, you could afford to take someone like this at number 5 and then wait till 19 or 18, and you'll still have a top 3, top 5 secondary guy to take.
Yeah, I agree to an extent, man. But I think whenever you can get an elite like corner, I think this is my thing is I think corners are always better. If there's an elite corner, you take them in the top 5 before you take a receiver. Receiver's a position that you could grab guys later on. I mean, look at the undrafted receivers, how common it is now that undrafted receivers make a name.
But then you also have guys like Julio, Mike Evans that have made differences.
Right,
for
that
teams.
make huge differences, correct. I mean, but you could say that about same thing for guys, like I said, that weren't necessarily drafted as high. Now, I will give you that. Cooper, another guy that's taken high. You'll have those rare cases. In this case, I think Mike Williams will still be there for you guys at 18 or 19.
Okay.
I don't think you need to take him in the top 5.
Another guy that played pretty good for them that could have moved up in the draft board, the tight end. I don't know what grade he's in, but Leggett had a really good game for them in that tight end spot, especially he missed the one ball that was high
that
up,
one drop. Yep.
but the one he made on the final drive where he reached out, that was incredible.
Yeah, those
I
are
don't know.
highlights to careers right there. I mean, that's.
I think he can be draft eligible if he wanted. I think I'm looking at his birth date. He's gonna be 22, so that seems like he's been in college for quite a while.
Yeah. And I see in the chat here, Larry Hurd wrote that elite linemen or pass rushers make teams, and I agree with him on that. That is a huge thing to have that kind of movement. That's another thing I want to talk about with Clemson. Before we go back and talk about Leggett, they ran over 90 offensive plays, and that really took a toll on Alabama's defense in the fourth quarter late. And that was a big difference, I think, of why Watson was not that he wasn't effective all game, but why he was even more effective down the stretch and able to make those plays. So great calling system, by the offensive coordinator down the stretch. But to your point, Leggett, I think, is another athletic tight end, not just, that he's going to be out there on the pass block and makes those occasional catches. He made that great catch in the fourth quarter, too, as well. A lot of great catches were made down the stretch for both of those guys, Williams and Leggett, to really solidify that victory.
But
So
I
I
tell
could
you
see
what,
him being,
Alabama's defense, they're going to have at least 4 or 5 guys. Those guys
yeah.
on that line for Alabama, they're men. They're not college
Oh
kids.
yeah,
They're
Oh,
freaking
those are
men.
boys. Those are big
100%.
boys, man. Bolware's another guy too that was good.
Oh my
Clemson's
God, he
on
played
the
out of his mind
linebacker
last night.
was
Yeah.
playing
He
really
looked
well.
like
Yeah,
Ray Lewis on the field.
he was playing really well.
That last drive where they did, I guess, was like I think it was a pitcher screen where he suplexed the guy.
Oh yeah, that guy was all
That was
kinds of
pretty
amped.
sick.
The minute he hit that guy, he's like, this guy ain't getting around, man. He just drove him about like 20 yards backwards. I mean, obviously he doesn't get the 20 yards, but still, he was
Yeah.
just all kinds of fired up, and that was a great play. He read that right out.
I saw his pregame speech. Man, I was ready to play. I was ready to play. I was ready to strap it up and go. I was ready.
So
Yeah, motivation.
So that's pretty much gonna wind down college football talk on the Shy Sports Talk show. We'll have college basketball coming up. I think Maryland has a big game tonight against Indiana, so go Terps. So basically the transition is gonna be from college football straight to college basketball. We'll get more back into college football when we come around draft time and figure out where these guys are gonna go. See if I stick with my Williams pick at 5. See if we all agree on Watson #1 to Cleveland. Sorry, buddy, but it happens.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. So
I
everyone,
mean, there's a lot of mock drafts that don't have him going number
no,
one.
they have
No.
the defensive end from
Yeah.
Alabama going. No, not Alabama. I'm sorry, Texas A&M.
Texas, yeah.
Allen.
And
Yeah.
Jabril Peppers officially declared, so that's another guy that's going to be in the top 5 talk now.
Actually, you know what? A lot of mocks have him way down the first round after 15.
He'll get back up.
A lot of them. Well, combine man. Also for
Yeah, that's true.
college football news, I think a couple mocks from an alumni from Gatesburg's on there, and also a former alumni from Gatesburg, Camonte Carter, school I went to. He actually received an offer from Pitt University. He was at a JUCO school at East Mississippi, the one that was on Last Chance U. So congrats to him for getting the
Congrats,
offer to Pittsburgh.
Go Trojans.
So
Congrats to the ACC as a whole, too, for finally knocking off the SEC. I think this might
Yeah.
finally give some people, that's the one thing I like. Whenever Alabama wins, you hear every single SEC fan team, like LSU or Florida fans, like, oh, there's Alabama winning again. Like, that's why we're so good. I didn't see any Miami or FSU fans running their mouth when the ACC won. So hats off to Clemson
And
finally doing that for the ACC.
one quick thing, since Coach Hurd is in the chat room, I want to say congratulations to him as he led, I believe it was the Washington area team in the Maryland Crab Bowl. It's like our little all-star football game, victorious against the Baltimore team. So congrats to Coach Hurd for leading the Washington area team victorious against Baltimore. I think it was a tight game. I believe it was 9-3, so that was a very tight game
Wow,
there.
defensive battle. Congrats, Coach,
Wow,
and the team.
9-3.
And then we'll also get some college news. I think in a couple weeks is National Signing Day, so we'll have to get back on that and see who's got the #1 class. Maryland up to 14 now, best spot they've ever been in a while.
Very cool.
So let's transition now to the NFL playoffs. This week of game, I guess we all can agree was lackluster. I guess nothing really. I mean, nothing close. I mean, really, the only close part, any close game there was. Not pointing you out, was the beginning of the Packers-Giants game where they were,
It
tight
was.
for the first half, and then we saw what happened after that. But every game this week, I mean, you got Pittsburgh went up 21-7 real quick. Seattle, never looked back. Houston, Oakland, that was an okay game, but really with Connor Cook in there, really, there's not much Oakland could do against that defense. I mean, Clowning, not going to try to pronounce the first part.
Davion.
Jadavion? Yeah.
Played like a first pick in the draft. And can you imagine what that defense would have been like if Watt was
Both
healthy?
of them? Oh, man.
Lord. So Houston moves on. They will be playing against New England. New England, I think that the highest favorite team in the playoffs, I think, in history could be. You have Seattle going to Atlanta. We have Pittsburgh going to Kansas City, which I think will be the game of the week. And then we have the Packers going to Cowboys. So first, let's talk about, Anthony, we're going to bring them up first. Let's talk about the Giants and Green Bay. Before we talk about this game, I want to get into one thing that everyone's been talking about, every kind of controversy there is. Anthony, I'm going to ask you first. Does the trip to Miami cost them the game?
Yes, absolutely.
Give me a reason.
Okay, here's the thing, man. I'm all for you do what you want on your own time. I'm all for that. You do what you want. You go out there. You want to go to Miami before you go. You go to Miami. You show up when it's game time and you get ready to go. Odell Beckham Jr., Sterling Shepard, all the young kids on the receiving course, those guys have never been in the playoffs before. You were going against arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks, of all time that we'll see. He might be the greatest quarterback playing right now. Tom Brady's probably the next, Tom Brady is the person I would argue is the only guy ahead of him. In Lambeau Field, which is not a stadium that many people want to go to with those circumstances. And Eli warned them games before, the game that they lost to the Eagles. He said, you guys need to be ready. Like, a lot of you have never been in the playoffs. If you look at that team, the Giants offense, the only person from the offense besides Eli that was in the playoffs before was Victor Cruz. Mm-hmm. The rest of those guys, defensive side, same thing, Pierre-Paul, and Pierre-Paul was out. These are all guys that have never been to the playoffs before. They had no idea what they were expecting, and they were going into a place, you want hostile territories, you want to say, because Green Bay is a tough stadium to play in. Not necessarily hostile territories, but I'm saying for a visiting team, young kids, they're not ready for that. And I think that the beginning of that game really showed the inexperience was there. I know me and you have talked about this. You don't think it has anything to do with it. But to be honest with you, the way the game started, the Giants were all over Green Bay. They were all over them. Rodgers couldn't do anything. I think they had 7 yards of total offense in the first quarter or something like that. And the Giants were driving the ball down the field. Eli was making the throws he had to make. And then that third down play was the one that really stuck out to me. It was the first drive. It was like a hook route to Beckham, and Beckham drops it wide open. And I was like, Beckham couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. And I guess that's the boat that he was on in Miami, because that's where he left his hands. I don't know what he was thinking. And then he gets a redemption shot in the end zone and drops it again. So those right there, minimum, the Giants should have been up right there. You should have had at least one of those as a touchdown. Another, you get 6 points against Green Bay. You don't want to do that. And I said, you're not going to go. There's no one in the league right now, including Brady. And I know people are like, oh, Brady's better than him. That's fine. You do not go touchdown for touchdown with Aaron Rodgers. It's not going to happen. They took their number one receiver out, Nelson, early in the game. The Giants lost Rodgers Cromartie, their number one corner. So, it kind of washed each other with that. But he was still finding people to go to. And that's when you have a chance and points are going to be at a premium, and you could go up 17-3 in the first half. Not saying the Giants still win with that, but that changes the whole entire game plan, because now the defense is playing with 2 touchdowns. They could throw more blitzes, and then if they get lucky, and they throw a blitz and the guy gets wide open, it's missed coverage, you could do that. But the Giants tried to make a comeback in the second half by going touchdown for touchdown with Rodgers, and then they just took off completely, because it's just not going to happen. Eli's never been that kind of quarterback to do that. Eli's going to play. He'll play a consistent game and let the defense be, the driving point of the victory. And the Miami trip to me is what caused a lot of it. When you pay guys like Victor Cruz and Odell Beckham, these are your number 2 guys, and then Sterling Shepard, and the only person to score a touchdown on your receiving core is a rookie getting his first career touchdown.
Who didn't go? He didn't go to Miami.
That's a problem. And he didn't go, and he's the only one that scored. So furthers my point of why Miami caused an issue.
11 targets.
Yeah.
And caught it 4 times.
Well, here's the deal, though.
He dropped 2, 3 easy.
To play devil's advocate, which I like to do, a lot of coaches, a lot of people who are in those positions try to tell you to not change what you've been doing all season, because if you change, it might get in your head. And you might think that this game is really bigger than what it is. It's a game. It's just like any other game. The first game, this last game, playoff game. Sometimes that's how you got to have that mentality. If you take your days off and you go to Miami every week or every weekend, then keep doing what you're doing, because you don't want to get out of that mindset of, I'm playing football, this is my day off, and I'm coming right back at it and going 100% when I come back to practice.
Also, you can say in this game, when Cromartie went out, they suffered, because Eli Apple, how great, he's a great third guy on that secondary. Right. He wasn't ready to go up against their 1 or 2 receivers. And Anthony, you can agree, he looked completely lost out there matching up with, before Nelson went out, with Cobb, Adams.
I don't really think Apple was the issue. If you look,
I never said he was. I'm just saying when Cromartie went out, it was the
number 3 when Rodgers Cromartie went out and Trevin Wade came in. Trevin Wade had played good for them, but not going to be matched up against Randall Cobb. Or they literally, on the 1 touchdown drive they had, they ran the same exact route against Wade twice. It was an up and then slant in on like a double move type move, and Wade was biting every time, and they were getting 25 yards, and then Cobb got
Right.
the touchdown on it. I mean, so Rogers Cromartie leaving the game hurt a lot, and I know he tried to come back in. He came in on a kickoff in the third quarter, and you could see he was still hobbling, and he never came back in because of that. I think that was a huge, shot that they took because of that. Because if you see the game previous to that, Week 17, he had 2 interceptions, to solidify helping the Giants, beat the Redskins. So that's a huge shot, right off the rip, like I said. But again, the biggest takeaway for me was those missed opportunities in the beginning of the game. They never really recomposed themselves, and I think that Odell was trying to overcompensate now for missing those plays. And I think that's what really ultimately, unfortunately, like I said, was the undoing of the Giants team. Matt forgot to mention this last week. I'd like to.
I was actually
mention
about
this.
ready to mention that.
Yes.
You want me to go ahead and do it?
What's going on?
Go ahead. I'll let
You
you
know how
do it.
Anthony last week picked the Giants for the Super Bowl?
Okay.
I meant to say, and I'm sorry I forgot this, that he actually did say whoever won the Giants-Green Bay game would win the Super Bowl. So his
Okay.
I
pick,
thought the Giants could run the table if they could get past the
but if
Packers,
they
because I
don't,
thought
Green
this
Bay
would be the
would run the
toughest
tables
game.
for him.
And I don't see Green Bay losing to anyone. So that's why I want to give credit now to Green Bay. The Giants got their behinds whooped. The Packers were the better team. There's no doubt in my mind about that. It's not
Right.
that the Giants gave the game to the Packers. The Packers took the game from the Giants. And I don't see anyone, competing with Rodgers. I know everyone, well, the Cowboys beat them. This is not the team that the Cowboys beat Week 4 or whatever it was when they won that game.
I
This
think
is a
both
guy
teams
that
are
said,
completely different teams
Yeah.
right now.
he said, this is a guy that said, I'm going to run the table, and Aaron Rodgers, and has won 7 games in a row, and since then has thrown for
His last
22
loss was when he
touchdowns
got
and
back-to-back
0
blownouts by
interceptions.
Tennessee and the Redskins back-to-back. He got blown out, and then that was it.
Yeah.
So,
7 games in
all
a
right.
row.
So I did a little poll on the Shy Sports Talk Twitter page. 36 people voted. I did, ranking current quarterbacks who's the best, and I put down Brady, Big Ben, Eli, and Rodgers, all who's had really great success, people in the playoffs. It was very close between, Brady got the most, then it went Rodgers, Manning, Big Ben. So, everyone's saying Brady. Now, real quick, I want to talk about running backs, especially after something I saw on Skip Bayless's Twitter. Chris,
What's
with
up?
the remaining running backs in the playoffs, think about the teams. Who's the best?
I would go Le'Veon Bell, hands down.
Anthony?
Yeah, I agree with Le'Veon
Skip
Bell.
put out a
Nothing away from Ezekiel Elliott, but
Exactly.
he's not. After 1 year of work, I can't say he's better than Le'Veon Bell.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first he put a tweet out today that said, Le'Veon says his patient running style is changing the way the NFL, like Steph did his three-pointers. He writes out
I
he's
saw
the
that.
second best running back. So let me put out the one he put out on Sunday. He said something where Ezekiel is the best running back in the league and Le'Veon second. Like, how can you even?
Everyone's
They-
entitled to
they're-
their opinion, man.
He's very
Exactly.
The problem with him is he was a beat reporter for Dallas. And he brings it wherever he goes. The thing that I like, why I always like Stephen A. over Skip was Stephen A. is a Dallas guy, but he will give credit
Giants
when
guy.
credit is due to a better player. He gives credit to Brady. He gives credit to all those to Aaron Rodgers. Skip needs to get off of that. He needs to get off the Cowboy bandwagon, whatever he's on, and give credit where credit is due. Because I'm with the people that have, Elliott MVP. Why isn't David Johnson in that picture? Look at the stuff he
Yeah.
did this year.
More scrimmage yards than Elliott.
Not Elliott. but
People
Bell-
are saying, oh, well,
Yeah.
because the cards were behind in a lot of games, so obviously they were throwing him the ball, and there's different excuses. But I agree. For me, I think they're both great running backs, especially this year. But for me, they've got two kind of different styles of play. In my opinion, I think Elliott's more of a bruiser, and Bell is more of that
But here's the
patient
thing with Bell
waiting.
is he can run for 150 and catch for 100. That's the
Yeah.
thing with him is he can do
Yeah.
both. Elliott, I haven't seen the pass catching ability, and he didn't have it in college either.
Le'Veon
they
Bell
really-
all around. There's no better running back than him.
I agree. All around, I think he's definitely is the best one. But I think Ezekiel Elliott is definitely the close second compared to everyone else who's remaining. Definitely close second.
Yeah, no, without question. And I like you said, I think his patience is what separates him to be the best too, because
Yeah.
he's not a guy. He'll take a handoff and he doesn't just run right into the offensive line.
Here it
He'll
is,
do
here
that
it is.
stutter step
Exactly.
to wait and then
This-
take off to the left.
This is the one that blew my mind. Le'Veon is obviously very good, but he has no Elliott. He doesn't have Elliott's breakaway burst. Are you freaking kidding me? I'm pretty sure if they go side by side in a 40, Bell is going to have a better 40 time than Elliott. Really, Bell doesn't have a burst?
I mean, you could look that up. I'm sure we could look their 40 times
I'll
up.
look it up, but
Yeah.
you've got to be kidding me how you say Bell does not have a burst. When
Yeah,
that
look.
guy gets in the open or finds
Yeah.
that little hole after he does his little side steps, he's getting 5 or 6 yards because he goes through the hole. And Bell and he's a pretty, he's not a small dude either.
Yeah, and
No.
while you're looking that up, I was gonna say I was watching something. I think it was over the weekend, where Bell was talking with Jerome Bettis. So it was like Bell's talking to the bus, and he was kind of explaining kind of how he, runs and tries to hit the gap. And first of all, he was talking about how when he gets the ball, he's obviously not full 10 and go. You know what I mean? He sees the gap that he wants to go to, and he's trying to bait the linebacker to go to a different gap, so that way once the linebacker commits to that gap, he can break away to the outside and go to the gap that he actually wants to hit. So it's
Yeah,
not just, oh, I see a hole and go. It's, he's playing a mental game with the linebackers
Yeah.
in split seconds. I mean,
He's
it's amazing.
he's playing to be on that third line of defense before he's even past
Right.
the defensive
Okay, I
lineman.
got myself proven wrong. God, I hate myself.
Right.
Why'd you get
Elliot
yourself
had
Bell,
proven
Bell
wrong?
was 4.6. Elliott's was 4.47, but it doesn't show it on the field.
What are you
though.
talking
That's
about?
the thing.
Yards
They're
per
40
carry?
yard dash.
40s.
Oh, in their 40s? Okay.
But it doesn't
Also
show-
remember, too, Bell's numbers might be less, but he played 3 less games than Elliott because he was suspended the first 3 games. That's the thing that people don't. This guy gets suspended a couple of games, in the past 2 years, and he still is up there at the end of the year and most carries.
I'm trying to find it
most
right now
rushes.
where he's at rushing yards. So he was suspended for the first 4
First 3.
games.
No, 3. It was 3.
Yeah, it was 4, then it got down to 3.
Still fifth in the lead. He was,
Right.
he was 400 behind Elliott, but with those 3 games, do you think? Let's say
He
he
could
played all-
possibly
let's-
he could have possibly
You think he
gotten
could
a
have more?
400. I won't say he would have had more, but he could have.
No,
he
but
would have
there's-
definitely been closer, way closer than the
100%.
400 he was back.
100%.
Because D'Angelo Williams was playing well too back there.
Oh, yeah.
they
For
have a
Pittsburgh
great
in his
They
time.
have a great punch and running back there.
So
So go to the games we have this weekend. And we have, first off, let's real quick last week, Houston, their defense, Connor Cook, he was basically almost, he's not going to win the job in Oakland. He was almost playing, I guess, to try to maybe get some other NFL teams to look at him. It was almost like, a tryout for him.
tryout,
Other
yeah.
NFL teams, what was going on with him. So, nothing against him. It's just, you're playing against a real tough defense and you're a third string quarterback. Seattle, Detroit could never get on their games. Seattle's defense actually looked good the first time in a couple weeks. And like we said, Pittsburgh with that 3-headed monster. I mean, Brown, that stream pass that he just took up the field. Great block,
It's
though, by the
unbelievable,
tight
man.
end.
Yeah.
But his
Number
talk-
1 receiver.
talk about your burst of speed was right there. So this week, as I said, we have Seattle going to Atlanta, Houston going to New England, Pittsburgh going to Kansas City, Green Bay going to Dallas. So looking at what we did pick,
Yeah, I was going to ask
Anthony
you, are you
with-
going to bring back? what we
with
did
Anthony
pick?
would taken, whoever won that game, he would obviously been picking Green Bay this week. I have
Yeah.
Green Bay this week as well, and Chris, you picked Dallas. You're the one who picked Dallas.
Chris,
Yep.
you want to go first? Tell me about that. Why do you choose? I just want to know why do you choose Dallas over Green Bay?
I think this is just going to be a really tough game, and for me, I think it's just going to come down to who can control the ball. And if the Cowboys can run like they have all season, I think they're going to win.
If the run game gets taken away, do you think Dallas can win the game?
Oh no, definitely not. If
Okay.
if it comes down to, let's say the Packers get up, 17 to like 3, I think that's game over.
Real quick.
What?
In the chat, someone wrote Elliott basically set the last 2 games, but you can also say Bell set the last game. So technically, Elliott, would miss 2 if you looked at it.
Right.
Bell technically missed 4 games if you looked at it.
Yeah, and Bell
So-
sat all last game too. Yeah, they didn't play him at all.
Elliott played a little bit.
Yeah, it was
all right,
inactive.
So back to yours. Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
I can't see
I don't
Prescott
think-
going touchdown for touchdown with Rodgers.
Yeah, no, he
No.
can't. And
Prescott
I've had
would
this
not.
conversation with Cowboy fans. He can't. I
Mhm.
don't. Now let me ask you this: say this game gets like that out of hand, do you think Tony Romo makes an appearance in the game?
I don't think so.
No.
Do you think they stick with Prescott even if they're just getting
think they will.
lamb-based 17-3 at halftime? You know what I mean?
You can't risk getting Romo hurt in case you're trying to trade him in the offseason.
Yeah.
I think
You
that's
want me to
what-
tell you right now? I guarantee you that if
He's
this
gonna
game
play?
gets out of hand, Jerry Jones puts him in. Jerry Jones is too much of a. He has
A
to be
Romo
in your
guy.
face, and he loves Romo. Come on, he puts him in for one drive just to show that. And look how great he looked in that one drive and pulls him. He could have let him play a whole half.
Yeah.
Come on, he's no idiot. He knows what he's doing. I think that Jones would do it. I don't think that Prescott's going to let it get to that level. But I also think that the Packers are going to win it just because, like you said, he can't go touchdown for touchdown. And I don't think they're going to stop Elliott to the point where he's not efficient in the running game, but I don't think he's going to run as free as he did the first time they played.
Right. He's not going to completely take over the game,
Yeah.
is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
If he does, which I think he certainly has the opportunity to do, since the Cowboys have the best offensive line in the game, I'm just basing it based off of the best offensive line in the game with one of the best running backs in the game right now, with a Packers team that was the best running defense for a while, but you know they're not that same
Clay
Packers
Matthews
team.
looked pretty good last week. He's been good since he's come
Yes,
back.
he did.
Yeah,
Their run
did.
defense looked
He
really
did.
good. I mean, not that the Giants have a run offense.
I was
but
gonna say, well, the Giants, they weren't the best rushing team in the season, so we'll see. We'll see. It's gonna be
Someone
fun. I'm
just asked
excited
if
for
you do
every single one
Prescott
of
or
these games.
Romo. You got to do Prescott just because
Prescott starts. Yeah,
he's
Prescott
got
starts.
to. He's
If
been
it gets
playing
out
all
of hand,
season,
like
you
I
can't
said,
change it
though,
up.
you think about putting Romo in, man. If it gets out of hand, you got to. I know Jerry Jones will think about. I know him. I personally I'd let Prescott lose and play the whole game, then put Romo in.
Me too.
Because then if Romo wins, then what are you're going to take Prescott out for the next game if Romo ends up pulling the victory out? So it's just a bad thing for a young kid's confidence. So you lose with Prescott, you win with Prescott. That's what they have to do.
If it's a close game, relatively close game, like 2 touchdowns at halftime, there's no changes. But what if you're talking like, 31-0? You know what I mean?
Blowout.
Ugh,
Yeah.
that'll be brutal, man. I think people will be getting nauseous at that.
Yeah. But I'm excited. I'm
man.
excited for every single one of these games except for the Patriots game because, I mean, come on. I don't know.
Vince Wilfork said that if the Giants beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl with defense, the Texans can
Here's
do
the
it
funny
too.
thing about the rest of the games. We all picked the same games. The only one we did different was Chris picked
the
the Cowboys. All of
Right.
us picked Atlanta. All of us picked Pittsburgh. All of us picked New England. Now, with Ben getting hurt that last play, he was in a walking boot. Are you all still
saw
confident they win? I am.
Yeah, he said
Yeah.
there's no problem. He said it's nothing big. He's just doing it out of precaution. And he's played hurt many, many, many times, and I trust him.
Oh yeah.
He's probably, but now,
I think that the three that's something that people didn't really account for. They looked at their record and kind of were like, Pittsburgh will do what they got to do. But I can't believe the three of these guys have never been in the playoff. This is Le'Veon Bell. That was his first appearance in the playoffs last week.
he was hurt last year, wasn't
He was
it?
hurt. Yep.
Okay.
So now they have all three of those guys. Kansas City's a tough stadium to go into, man.
It
really
is.
is. I'm still sticking with Pittsburgh to win, but
Me too.
Kansas City and Seattle really surprised me with the run game last week.
I still don't see.
I don't see them. I hope Atlanta. I hope Matt. I really, for being a Matt Ryan fan, not an Atlanta fan, I hope that he can find a way to win because
Here's
I'm
the thing.
tired of him
Can
only
Seattle
winning.
go score to score with Atlanta's high power offense? Do you think Seattle can match up with that offense?
No, but the
it has
the
to go to a
defense can slow
shootout-
them down. That's
Right,
the thing.
that's the thing. Is I don't
Atlanta
think
doesn't
it's
have
about,
defense.
That's exactly right. I mean, they have a decent defense, but it's nowhere near the level of the Seahawks defense.
Yeah.
So
But
it's
definitely,
a matter
Vic
of which.
Beasley is definitely a game changer on that defense.
They
he
can throw
is.
different looks.
So
They're gonna take Julio Jones out. But Matt Ryan showed you. I mean, as you saw, he had one game. I think his first 11
Gabriel,
completions were to
Sanu,
9
they
different
all played
receivers.
great.
9 different receivers. That's unbelievable. Everyone's like, "Oh, Julio gets doubled." It's not 2 receivers he's throwing to. He's throwing to 9 different people are getting receptions.
Which basically he's almost playing like what Drew Brees would do. He got everyone involved. Now,
yeah,
the
I
New
think
England
that
game,
Atlanta is a scary offense to
does
watch.
New England. Is it close or does New England win by 2 scores or more?
I think New England wins by 2 scores or more.
I got that as well.
I think New England's going to win too. I don't want to completely discount the Texans just because I feel like once everyone discounts one team, that team somehow finds a surprise.
Yeah, that's
I don't
true.
agree with Will Fork though that this is anything like
The Giants defense.
the Giants team because Osweiler, is just not a quarterback that I trust in. Even if the defense is shutting the other team out, I still think he could find a way to throw the game away. So I see the Patriots advancing. I think that they'll win it handedly, especially since the first time. They won that game with Jacoby Brissett
Tony Romo's
at
the
quarterback. Huh?
Tony
What'd you
Romo's
say?
the GOAT.
Oh, someone get Matt off this show, please.
I had to
Romo's
say
the
it.
GOAT.
Someone asked me to say it.
Tony Romo's not the GOAT. The GOAT is TB12. You could say whatever you want,
Oh,
but he is the GOAT.
Real quick, someone just asked if Pitt New England wins, who wins AFC? I mean, we'll get into that game next week, but just real quick, since we're both well, I'll do our predictions from last week. What we had,
All right.
Anthony had New England, Chris had New England, and I had Pittsburgh winning that game. So, Alan, thanks for the question, but that what we have where I'm the only one taking Pittsburgh. Those two are taking New England, but like we said, if hopefully those two win and we can get into that, we'll definitely get in that game detailed next week for sure once we find out who wins.
And maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe Anthony will change his mind. You
Yeah.
know, based off of
Based off how I see,
How
because
we-
you haven't
how the
seen
game
Kansas City,
changes.
New England play this playoffs, and the same thing on the NFC
Right.
side. The Cowboys and the Falcons. One of these teams might come out and really crap the bed, or one of these teams might
Yeah.
come out like how the Seahawks did. You know, people predicted the Seahawks to win, but not as handedly. And the same thing with the Packers and all four of those games. But they might show you something you haven't seen
We'll
yet.
see how the
and
bye week affects them too.
Yeah, I think Kansas City is going to be the one
We've
that
seen
might
countless
benefit the
times
most
how
from it.
bye weeks have really messed around with teams.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, 100%.
So
And none of these teams were tested, in my opinion, in the wild card round. I think all of them pretty much, like you said, was a handedly win. So I think a lot of these teams are got to see a lot of tape, and they're going to be ready to go.
Yeah,
So-
it was a confidence. These were all confidence booster games. It was,
Yeah.
you know, let's just keep it going. Let's get this momentum going. Take it into the
Yep.
next round. You know, hopefully none of the teams that had a bye went to Miami. You know, we'll just say that.
Yeah, right. Hopefully,
So
if
that
they
should
did,
be-
stay off that boat.
yeah, Odell left his hands down in Miami. Sorry, buddy.
Did you
Gotta
see
get
the
one in there.
pictures too? The,
Hey, at least
the,
your- hey,
the
your
0-1
team made the
pictures with the hole
playoffs.
in the wall.
Your
Hey
team,
man,
Oh,
you know
I
what?
saw that one.
You know what? The only good thing about it is we have a better tee time than Washington and Tennessee now, since we made it a little bit further. You know, that's about it. We'll be golfing with you though this weekend, and Eli can get to get nachos with his brother this weekend. So that's, I mean, it's a win-win
oh yeah,
for
they've been
them.
putting the
Yeah,
memes
I
out.
saw that
when
one.
he
You
does
know?
the commercial.
Yeah.
Where's are you? I play this week. Oh, put you in for Tuesday. Now I can put you in for Sunday and Saturday.
Yeah, exactly.
I definitely saw one where Aaron Rodgers, his face was in the hole, and he's
Oh,
like,
yeah, that
"I
was
don't think
great.
State Farm covers this."
Yeah, it's true. There was a lot, but you know what? That's
Yeah.
Beckham needs to learn to tone it down because his antics can't
You know what
continue.
his antics are like after he loses is resembling to Bryce Harper when Harper, busted his head open when he slammed the bat again. It's almost like this
You're-
with the same antics.
Yeah, your talent can only do so much, man. You can't let your talent always be the reason why, like, oh, okay, he's our best player. We got to let it go. You got eventually,
sport.
at a time, you gotta make something, like make a statement somewhere. So, we'll I'll let you move on from that though.
Yeah.
So, real quick before we head out, that was our NFL preview. Next week, we're going to preview the conference championship games.
Oh, I can't
So-
wait for this weekend, man.
Let's
Yeah,
talk
I'm actually really excited. Yeah.
NBA real quick. Let's talk some Wizards. Wizards at the end of November after the first month, down 13, 14 seed. I think they were like a good 6 or 7 games under 500. They have clawed their way back up to being 500, 18 and 18.
And the 8th seed.
No, they're the 7th seed. They actually have the 7th.
Sure?
They haven't. I'm looking right now. It says the 7th.
Either way, they're in the playoffs right now.
They have crawled their way from the bottom to back to the 7th seed. Great for them. They're losing right now to Chicago, but I mean that's tremendous for them
That's
to
okay.
where they were at.
We went from bottom of the barrel to in the mix, and that's what matters.
Yep. They had really good. Let me go to them. I know they had some pretty good key wins the past. Let's go to December. Yeah, they had a great December. I think John Wall was the player of the month for December. So congrats to John Wall. First off, John Wall, why is he 5th in point guards? Why is this guy not 1 or 2? I understand Kyrie. Everyone loves him because he was Cleveland. Why is John Wall not up here with the discussion of top point guards? I think he's one of the top point guards in the league, especially with breakaway, what he can do with his speed from backcourt line to line. This guy needs to be in discussion for top point guards in the league. Real quick, before we end this, do you guys think he's a top point guard in the league? Just yes or no?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Okay.
I think he's good, but I don't think he's an elite point guard.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they've got him right where he's at, top 5 pretty much, and
Well, that's why I say he's a top 5.
yeah, but
That's elite.
you said number 1 in the league.
I didn't say number 1. I said is he
Yes,
an
you
elite
did.
point? Did I say
You
number
said
1?
is he
an
number one
elite
in the
point
league?
guard?
I think
I think he's one of
elite.
the better ones, but I don't know, man. I'm not sold on John Wall yet.
Okay. So
Yeah, I would say top 5, but if you're talking elite, I mean, elite's probably like top 3.
So month of December, they lost 2 points to start off the month to San Antonio. That's not bad, especially where they were at coming out of November, only losing by San Antonio to 2 points. But they had good wins over Milwaukee's a better team this year. Indiana, they had wins over the Clippers. They had some really good marquee wins. They had 2 3-game win streaks.
They lost to the Rockets, but they were up.
They were
up.
winning that entire game, and then just at
They
the
were
end,
up.
just crap the bed.
Yeah.
I'm sure James loved it.
They just had back-to-back wins against Minnesota and Milwaukee. They actually had can't think of the guy's name from Milwaukee, but they asked Kelly Oubre, what do you think about Milwaukee?
Giannis,
He tried to say his last name and just said, "Screw it, I'll just say his first name."
the Greek.
Yeah.
What's his nickname? Can't remember his nickname right
I
now.
don't remember.
But he tried to say it and was like, you know what, forget this. So good for the Wizards. Hopefully they can keep it going. The other local team in the area, actually, they're middle of the pack right now. Not middle, but they're still the 3 or 4. They had a big marquee win, and that's the Washington Capitals,
Yeah, buddy.
who ended the 16-game winning streak of the Columbus Blue Jackets, who were one win from tying the Penguins record. There's Chris
There
saying
it
could
is.
not get it done. And Alex Ovechkin is 1 point away from 1,000 career points. So hopefully he gets that the next game. Right now,
And you got to give congratulations to Ovechkin and Brandon Holtby for making the All-Star lineup.
yes. So
Definitely.
Capitals right now are third in the Metro. So right now they are in the playoffs. They have the third spot. Of course, Pittsburgh's ahead of. Actually, they have. Why does Pittsburgh have? Oh, because Pittsburgh has less losses. Whatever.
Right.
They have more wins, but whatever. So, right, they're right in the middle of the pack right there. They're only like 3 or 4 games out of first place in that whole conference. But I don't want the Wizards to get the number 1 seed because whenever they do, they crap it. Never works out for them.
You mean the Caps?
The Caps. I'm sorry, the
Capitals,
Caps. Wizards.
One
Caps,
and done.
What?
One and done. Is that what usually happens?
Well, not one and done, but usually one or
Just
2 and done.
The
It's
Rangers.
DC curse.
Yeah, Rangers and
Penguins give us
freaking
trouble.
Penguins always give us trouble in the playoffs.
Yep. I
So
understand that.
tonight, for real quick before we head out, college basketball news. Number 3 Villanova is facing off against number 15 Xavier. That seems like a really good matchup. Like I said, Maryland plays Indiana, and also number 7 Duke plays Florida State. And guess what? Allen almost got trouble for tripping someone else. Go figure.
Yeah.
That kid just. Oh, and number 1 Baylor's facing number 10 West Virginia right
Virginia.
now. West Virginia's up 20-14. So. Like I said, we're gonna have a couple big things coming up next couple weeks. We got spring trainings about ready to happen. Get ready. Next month or so, get ready for our MLB preview show. We always have fun doing that. Since we now finally have a Mets beat reporter for us on the show.
Beat
Yeah, I'm
reporter.
calling you a beat reporter. There you go. We got next week conference championship previews. After that, we'll get ready for the Super. This year, I didn't know there's 2 weeks between the conference Super Bowl. I think it's like 3. I think it's once you play the conference, you don't play Super Bowl for 3 weeks.
No, 2 weeks. You're right.
It's 2
There's
weeks.
the normal way. Pro Bowl's on the 29th and the Super Bowl's the 5th.
Yeah, that's
Same
how
thing.
it is.
And the Pro Bowl will be here in Orlando for the first time
That's
ever.
my fault.
Oh, really?
I read something wrong. So we got that coming up. We'll talk more Wizards and Capitals as we start, getting close.
Speaking of your Capitals, you have a huge game Wednesday night. I don't know if you realize that. You play the Penguins Wednesday night, actually.
I hope we beat them. We beat them the last.
I think it's
time.
at home.
For some reason, we can beat the Penguins like 7 or 6-0 in the regular season. When we get to the postseason, it's completely different.
Postseason, everything's off the table, man. Doesn't matter what your seed is.
Also-
It's who's there.
The NHL trade
Exactly
deadline
right.
is coming up, and I'm trying to get a special guest for the show. Trying to get a returning guest who hasn't been on since last year. So hopefully we can get this guest on. I won't mention names because I feel like I'm going to jinx it.
Yeah, then don't.
So Paul, I'm gonna real quick before Paul take it away. OT3, mine and Anthony's wrestling podcast will be back next Monday. We had technical difficulties yesterday.
Yeah, I would say.
Sorry
that.
for that. But Paul was able to get Shipe Sports Talk up, so thanks for that, Paul. That's why he's an amazing producer. So next week, me and Anthony will be returning for our season 2 debut of OT3. We're gonna be Anthony. What's our slogan this year?
Oh, man. You put me on the spot like that.
You're in the shirt yesterday. You
Oh,
had the-
redesign, rebuild, and reclaim.
yes,
Yeah.
we are. We're gonna reclaim that top spot in wrestling podcast, hopefully.
And our award show. Will
And
be on
we will
Monday.
have our war show next week, so that should be fun. So, Paul, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Matt. Thanks everybody in the chat room and in the chat rooms for joining us tonight. You can always find everything that we got going on if you join all of our media stuff. So Twitter at Shipe Sports Talk, Facebook /Shipe Sports Talk, and you can send us emails at shipesportstalk@gmail.com. So thanks again for watching. I'm sure these guys would love to hear from you. So
Oh, yeah, everyone in the chat. Sorry, Paul, cut you off. I'm just going to name it. James, Alan, Arnaldo, a.k.a. Curly, Coach Hurd, Aaron,
David.
everyone, thank you for all the shout out. We appreciate all the support. David, thank you, everyone. We love that, everyone getting involved. We love the show. Keep watching it. Like Paul says, subscribe to us on YouTube so you can check out all our previous shows that we hadn't put on Facebook yet. Sorry, Paul, for cutting you off. Go ahead.
No, it's cool. You got it. So subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up and likes. Comment. And follow us on the Facebook as well and Twitter also. So that does it for me.
Yep. So tune in next week for our conference championship preview show. And since Anthony didn't get to say it on Monday, Anthony, I'm going to have you ask Paul the question you ask all the time.
Paul. New year, Paul. It's a new year.
Yeah.
Can I ask it, or do you want to? What do you want to do here?
Nothing's happening yet with the Crazy Talk
Paul's
podcast.
in the studio to get up and run, I think.
Crazy Talk's going to return bigger and better than ever, right, Paul?
That's right. You got that right.
So, like I said, next week, we got the conference championship preview show. Talk some more college basketball, NBA, NHL, and OT3 on Monday at 7 o'clock. So, everyone, thank you for joining us. For myself, the amazing producer, Paul, my awesome, amazing co-hosts, Anthony and Chris. Have a great evening, everyone, and enjoy all the hockey, basketball, football games that are coming up this week and weekend. Thank you.
I'll definitely be watching that game tomorrow, man.
Yeah. That's going to be a good one. I'm definitely going to actually be watching that one closely. Good luck to your Capitals.
See ya.
Thanks.
Have a good night,
guys.
Thanks.